The Time Variance Authority is tasked with governing all of time and space in the Marvel Universe, and they are about to make their presence known in the MCU on the Loki Disney Plus series. But what exactly are they? Space cops? Bureaucrats? Let's siphon through the mountains of paperwork to discover the inner workings of the TVA and what their appearance means for the MCU going forward. I'm Pat with the Montiverse, and we're here to spotlight the Time Variance Authority.
On behalf of the Time Variance Authority, I hereby arrest you for crimes against the sacred timeline. Hands up. You're coming with us.
The Time Variance Authority are time monitors tasked with watching over the ever-expanding multiverse and keeping temporal interference to a minimum. The TVA has a lot of power when protecting the multiverse. They have the ability to discontinue timelines, which erases them from history. They also have the ability to incarcerate time travelers, who they find guilty of being a danger to the time stream. What makes this organization so interesting is that it's not your typical group of time-space officers. It is a well-oiled machine that has its own corporate structure, with many of its employees being cloned from the same genetic stock to reduce disputes and improve efficiency. However, they do recruit promising candidates from time to time. Above the bureaucracy are the Timekeepers, a trio of beings created by He Who Remain, the last director of the Time Variance Authority from the last reality just prior to the heat death of the universe. They are created to watch over all of space and time using all the power the TVA has amassed. The Timekeepers at some point recruit Immortus, who is an older version of King the Conqueror. They task Immortus with monitoring all time between 3000 BC and 4000 AD, and to untangle the time travel mess his prior selves had left in their wake. Due to the nature of temporal mechanics, the TVA and Timekeepers have repeatedly interacted with each other. And what this is trying to tell you is time travel is weird. The highest authority in the TVA is their director, Mr. Alternity, who is a senior member of upper management, and whose appearance is said to be based on that of Marvel editor Tom Brevoort. Beneath Mr. Alternity are the administrators. Each admin is an identical clone, and they are essentially middle management. Some admins include Mr. Paradox, Mr. Ouroboros, and Mr. Tesseract, but the most famous admin is hands down Mobius M. Mobius, who is featured often in the TVA's many appearances, and he is going to be portrayed by Owen Wilson in the Loki series on Disney+. The admins are your typical bureaucrats who start at junior management and attempt to climb the ladder. An inside joke at the time of their creation was that all the members are clones of legendary Marvel continuity expert Mark Gruenwald, because they were all based off of his appearance. Below the administrators are a vastly infinite number of chronomonitors, faceless beings in suits who each sit at a desk with a computer, in the Hall of Chronometry. They monitor every event from the timeline in which they are assigned. They are tasked with alerting admins through tachyon pulses when a problem arises, and the admins decide how to proceed. When a new timeline is created, so is a new chronomonitor, along with a new desk, chair, and computer. Next in the ranking are the Minutemen, who are the warriors of the TVA. They are produced through a combination of cloning and cybernetics and wear suits of power armor. The leaders of the Minutemen are the Justices, who are temporal patrol officers. Basically, they are time cops. Well, not that time cop. The Justices are given the authority to time travel to help solve TVA problems. One of the most famous Justices is Justice Peace, who has crossed paths with many Marvel characters, the first being Thor. The TVA also employs various freelance operatives and has a working relationship with time travelers such as King the Conqueror. The Time Variance Authority are based out of the Null Time Zone, a place that exists outside of time. Their base of operations is home to many rooms that are important to the operation of the TVA. These include the Departure Gate, which is the transit hub of the Null Time Zone. The Hall of Chronometry, which is the heart of the TVA, an infinitely large space filled with desks and monitors manned by the chronomonitors. The Hall of Discontinued Universes is an interesting place because it's where the leftover waste and debris from universes judged dysfunctional is ejected into nothingness. The Time Cells are where the TVA keep their most dangerous offenders, where they are folded into mirror time loops. Lastly, there are the Time Courts, where a time offender's cases are heard. Usually, groups of administrators are the ones who hear the cases. The TVA is also home to some of the most powerful weapons throughout time, but the most dangerous is a weapon of their own making. The retroactive cannon, or retcan, is the most lethal weapon in the TVA arsenal. It bombards individuals with anti-temporal rays, unraveling them backwards through time and erasing them from existence. The name is also a play on the word retcon, which is a term constantly used in the comics industry to describe changes in continuity. The first appearance of the TVA was in Thor issue number 372, written by Walt Simonson. The tale features Justice Peace being sent back in time to stop the villain Zaniac. The TVA sends him back to save his future, which sees the civilization of Brooklynopolis threatened by a massive Zaniac outbreak during World War VII. During his time in the then present, he attempts to stop Zaniac from murdering Jane Foster, teaming up with the god of thunder Thor along the way. While Thor may have been the first appearance of the organization, it was not until later in the Fantastic Four series that the TVA was fully fleshed out. Due to Marvel's first family being adventurers of space and time, they have had multiple run-ins with the Time Variance Authority. Reed Richards specifically has caught the ire of the organization on more than one occasion. However, it is through the Fantastic Four that we are first introduced to Mobius and Mobius when he attempts to prosecute them for various charges, including illegal time use and continuity theft. They're able to escape, and Reed uses a computer virus that generates a reality wave, which unregisters the Fantastic Four's home timeline with the TVA. One of the most recent appearances of the TVA was in the pages of She-Hulk, where Jennifer Walter finds herself defending the man who invented time travel in a case where he claims that he killed the person who's going to kill him in the future. Time travel. The man is Charles Zwarsky. He is responsible for inventing pure time travel without creating divergent timelines or visiting alternate dimensions. He used this ability to send himself stock tips from the future. He was warned that someone would attempt to kill him, so he kills the person before they have a chance. Charles was put on trial for these crimes, and Jennifer Walter was brought in to be his attorney. They are taken to the TVA to assist them in their trial. For the trial, the TVA provided jurors taken from a point in time 1 year earlier where they were all destined to die before the crime was committed, so the jurors were unbiased. The only problem is one of these jurors was Jen's friend Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye. The case is solved when Justice Peace determines that Charles killed a future version of himself while time traveling, and chose to let the events play out as they were, to close the paradox. However, She-Hulk was caught attempting to warn Hawkeye of his impending fate, and she is taken into custody by the TVA. She was to be erased from history using the retroactive canon, but she helps the TVA in taking down the villain Clockwise, after he steals the retcan and attacks the TVA, erasing Justice Goodwill, Mr. Paradox, and Mr. Aurora Boreas from existence in the process. Due to her help with Clockwise, She-Hulk was deemed worthy of existence by the TVA. The Time Variance Authority would show up sporadically in a few different comics over the years, attempting to stop temporal infractions whenever possible. One thing to note is that they are not at every time, space, and multiverse changing event in the comics universe. One reason for this is they are constantly monitoring the timelines. So they see an event and see what kind of impact it will have on a timeline, and if it is something minor or the end result will not change the timeline, then they won't interfere. But if something appears that would mess with the timeline too much, they will respond, and if the effect is too great, they may even erase the timeline. The Time Variance Authority continues to play a part in comics, but I have a feeling their presence in the MCU is going to be a lot more impactful, and will help connect a lot of things in Phase 4. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a huge thumbs up and comment down below what Spotlight you would like to see next. If you haven't already, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the exciting new content we have coming up. And until next time guys, I'll catch you later.